Okay, we've got more patch notes for the Season of Discovery Phase 4 Test Realm for June 28th. Today is Friday. We were in the middle of doing some Blackrock depths in the public test realm, trying things out, and the patch notes dropped just 5 minutes ago, so we're checking that out. Obviously, we're going to skip over all of the Paladin changes. I did read just a little bit of the first of the Rogue changes. We're going to skip right to this. Let me zoom in so you can read it a little better. Okay, that's not that much better. Like this. Okay, Slaughter from Shadows. We read this one and we read the Unfair Advantage one already, so this is my 100% authentic first reaction, but I'm going to cover them. Slaughter from Shadows now reduces backstab and ambush cost by 30. It used to be only 20. And now also increases backstab and ambush damage to non-player targets by 60%. So big buff to backstab. However, as the developer note points out, this still competes with your Deadly Brew rune. So there's no shot it becomes like the optimal damage output build. There's no way. Deadly Brew is way too strong. So I imagine it's going to be a similar situation to like we were doing in Phase 1 with the first boss of Black Fathom Deeps that was immune to poison, so you couldn't get any benefit from Deadly Brew. Then you would go Slaughter from Shadows and do backstab. So if we encounter any targets that are immune to poison, we probably end up doing Slaughter from Shadows, and that'd be like a little swap of the build for that boss. Pretty cool. Or annoying, depending on how you think about it. But I think cool. Okay, whatever. Probably not a big deal here. Second change, Unfair Advantage. This is the other one we already read. The rest of it's going to be new. I haven't read it before. Always hits your current target and grants 1 combo point when it triggers. That seems super cool. Triggers on parries. Always hits current target. So before, it would strike back against the target whose attack you dodged. Whereas what's happening now is it's always hitting your current target. It's also triggering on parries, like a lot of your avoidance is parry, not just dodge. So what this is going to allow you to do is you can, as a tank, you can run Unfair Advantage. You can pull a bunch of mobs together. Then you can target one of them, and it'll funnel all of your Unfair Advantage procs onto your current target. So it like funnels damage into the target you want. And you'll generate extra procs from all the other mobs attacking you. And granting combo points, that's like crazy. Like, you got a bunch of like maintenance abilities. You want to keep up Blade Dance, Slice and Dice, like Rupture. This is gonna feed you so many combo points. Like an insane, like you're gonna maintain you're gonna maintain like Expose, Slice, Blade Dance. Like, you might not even need to use your combo point builders because you might just be able to almost exclusively cycle through finishing moves. That's a lot of combo points right there. Can you link the blue post? Yeah, I'll put that in chat for you guys right now. This gives tanks a way to get combo points to maintain their 2 maintenance finishers. I think they mean Slice and Blade Dance, without having to completely rely on Honor Among Thieves. That's another head rune that gives you a bunch of combo points. This accomplishes 2 things. Allows you to feel like avoidance further increases your damage output. That's because it's now triggering from parries and not just dodges. Increase the potential for rune combination diversity. Again, like not relying on this. I don't really feel like, in my experience, tanks relied on Honor Among Thieves anyways. But whatever. They maybe seem to think that. Honor Among Thieves plus Carnage, with the Carnage change later on. Or Combat Potency plus Focus Attacks plus Unfair Advantage to have a way to gain combo points. A way to keep the energy flowing. Okay. I mean, cool. I'm not sure that this analysis is like super whatever. Who cares? The change is good. It does open up a lot of possibilities. Shiv has been replaced with a new rune. Well, Shiv, the problem with Shiv was that it was dead because it competed with Mutilate and Saber Slash, and you would like basically never ever want to pick Shiv and deny yourself the ability to use Mutilate or Saber Slash. So let's see what we've got. Cutthroat. You no longer need to be behind your target to backstab, ambush, or garrote, and you have a 15% chance when you backstab to make your next ambush not require being in stealth. Okay, so this is building into the Slaughter from Shadows chest rune, plus then you do the Cutthroat glove rune. Since you're trying to use backstab as your builder, you don't need an alternative combo point builder on your glove rune. So it's, again, trying to make backstab better. When all I had seen was the Slaughter from Shadows rune change, I was like, no shot. Now we have a little bit more. I'm still not sold on it, but let's see. That's definitely good. Like, this is a huge quality of life thing. Like, being behind your target was a massive restriction for these abilities. Not sure how good this part is. If you were going to do backstab, you would absolutely use this rune. Known issues. These abilities still trigger an error stating you must be behind your target. This is visual only and will correct in a later update. Okay. With the change to Poison Knife to have no dead zone, Shiv stood to fall even further behind compared to the other runes in this slot. With Sabers, I don't know how a change to a wrist rune causes this to happen. Shiv was never being chosen because it competed with Mutilate and Saber Slash. There were no other, like, remotely competitive combo point builders. That's why it was never chosen. And this doesn't change that. With Saber Slash and Mutilate having their identities locked in with damage over time effects, we wanted to add a big numbers option to this slot for those who enjoy backstab and ambush. Okay, cool. So yeah, I mean, it's like backstab's your combo point builder, and like occasionally you proc a free ambush, and then like you use an ambush. So that seems cool. Main Gauche now grants 100% parry chance until you next parry an attack, instead of 10% parry. Now also reduces the energy cost of Sinister Strike by 20 for the next 10 seconds. Combo points granted reduced to 1, down from 3. Okay, so before I read the developer's notes, I'll take them off screen so you know I'm not reading them. The problem with Main Gauche is the same as the problem with Shiv. It competed with Mutilate and Saber Slash, and these, the combo point builder for a rogue is so incredibly important. It's where the vast majority of your energy gets spent. It was just not viable to pick anything. None of the other options were remotely on the power level of Saber Slash and Mutilate, and Main Gauche previously had a 20-second cooldown, which means even if you wanted to, you couldn't press it a lot. So you were forced into using one of the like old or dead combo point builders like Sinister Strike or Backstab or Hemorrhage or whatever. Hemorrhage, not a bad builder, just it requires 21 points investment in subtlety, which is bad in itself. What this change to Main Gauche is making it so Sinister, that's a massive reduction in the cost of Sinister Strike, but it's only 10 seconds. If the cooldown is still 20 seconds, then this is only up 50% of the time, but like you cut the energy cost of Sinister Strike in half. Yeah, all of a sudden it becomes a pretty good ability. That shouldn't be too surprising. So using Main Gauche then makes Sinister Strike a okay builder, which kind of solves the problem of like not having a good builder if you take the Main Gauche rune. So this makes it more appealing, I think. I'm not sure how I feel about the change to the like parry chance thing. Like this part feels worse. 1 parry instead of 10% chance, I guess, is maybe better for boss tanking, worse for dungeon tanking when you're tanking tanking a lot of mobs at once. Let's see what developer says. In line with the theme of glove runes and dominance, we understand Mutilate has been essentially the default choice for many builds, and we want to open that up more. Creating a synergy with Sinister Strike made sense to us here, since Main Gauche is a longer cooldown, and we don't feel comfortable increasing the rate at which a rogue will be able to avoid all attacks, an accelerating rogue reaching a full avoidance cap, which could prove problematic. That's probably why they removed the, like, flat parry and changed it to this. We think this version of main gouge allows the player to control their avoidance, creates more energy play outside of just adrenaline rush, and may allow more builds to open up. This additionally keeps the efficacy against bosses with 2.0 attack speed, essentially allowing the rogue to avoid 1 extra attack every 10 swings. It's a little weird. It's a little weird. I will see how this plays out. I mean, making Sinister Strike 20 energy for 10 out of every 20 seconds, like, that's pretty strong. Man, I wonder if a 20 energy Sinister Strike is better than Saber Slash. Imagine if you just, as a DPS, you ran main gouge, and then you, like, blasted Sinister Strikes for 10 seconds. You did, like, you would, like, pool up energy right before your main gouge comes off cooldown. You'd press your main gouge, then you'd, like, Sinister, finishing move, Sinister, then, like, pool up some energy, finishing move, and then you're, like, waiting out the next 10 seconds before you can main gouge again. Okay, Carnage. They mentioned a Carnage rune. Yo, what the fuck? Carnage now also heals the rogue for 40% of all damage done by Rupture or Crimson Tempest. Adding some sustain to rogue could be problematic, but we also feel like Rupture has 2 uses in an Envenom world. Stop another rogue from re-stealthing, and to bleed down a plate wearer. Outside of that, Rupture doesn't have a ton of great application, so instead of adding more damage to it, we want to push its identity out in a way it doesn't compete one-to-one with other finishers. This also gives Tank Rogue an opportunity to opt into Carnage over Unfair Advantage and adding Rupture to their rotation. Huh. I'm not sure if that's a meaningful amount of healing. Because, like, when you Crimson Tempest, like, that's the basically AoE Rupture. You're taking a lot of damage. So, like, proportionally, it's like, yes, you're healing more, but you're also taking a lot more damage. This doesn't feel to me like it's that big of a deal. It also seems kind of weird because it's like, I don't know, I talked about rogue changes before, and I always said, like, rogue doesn't need to have AoE, right? Like, as long as we're good single target damage, we have our niche and it's good. But, like, now we have a bunch of AoE, and it's like, okay, we're getting AoE, and now it's like, okay, we didn't have self-healing before, now we have a bunch of self-healing. It's like, it's the, like, homogenization of classes, right? Personally, not a fan of, like, every class being able to do single target and AoE and heal itself and this. Like, not a fan of that. How I farm solo Dangy as rogue? Asked Doofy. You could do that before. Oh, without AoE? Yeah, you couldn't, I mean, you couldn't farm large numbers of enemies, but you could stealth in and kill particular bosses. People did that in Classic Era a whole lot. They'd stealth into BRD, kill particular bosses with their powerful cooldowns. That was something Rogue could do that other classes couldn't do. The fact that mages could do something different, and, like, they couldn't go kill those particular bosses, but they could, like, jump into Dire Maul, pull 50 plants, and kill them all at once, doesn't mean, like, Rogue needs to be able to do that too, you know? Okay, next change. This one breaks my fucking heart. I already read it while I was talking about Carnage. Fan of Knives damage reduced to 50% weapon damage, 75 with daggers. Previously, it was 75%, 105 with daggers. Yep, that's what it is in-game right now. So these maybe haven't been applied, or maybe the tooltip just isn't updated. So 70% down to 50%. It's about a 30% nerf. 50 is 71% of 70. Man, they really gutted Fan of Knives. Let's see what they have to say. Fan of Knives is an incredibly synergistic ability, and there are more synergies than before for rogues. This version may look weaker than, say, the Wrath of Lich King version, but focus attacks is 50% more energy restored in Season of Discovery than in Wrath. Deadly Brew will apply deadly and instant poisons from both weapons on Fan of Knives, and Occult Poison will increase the damage of your instant poison when you stack it up with longer AoE pulls. We feel very comfortable taking down the base damage of Fan of Knives without negatively impacting AoE threat or damage relative to similar AoE abilities. 3 Cloakrooms are similar ways to do AoE damage, and with Carnage now working on Crimson Tempest for healing off AoE targets, it now has distinct identity as well. We'll continue to monitor these runes and adjust as needed. I don't know. When they removed the focus attacks offhand energy generation with Fan of Knives, I felt like that was fair, because it was like kind of ridiculous. This, I think, might be a little bit too much. Gonna be hard to deal. I don't know. This one feels like maybe it's too much. That's what I would say. Carnage, healing. It's like, I don't know, like before, like I didn't think rogues needed to have AoE going into, you know, for Season of Discovery. Now we have a bunch of AoE. Now we have self-healing too. I'm not a fan of this. Like this doesn't appeal to me. I mean, I'll see what I can do with it to try to make use of it. It feels like it's probably not a substantial amount of healing either. Because like these abilities don't make up very much of your damage output normally. So this isn't really a super compelling reason for me to pick Carnage Rune. Main Gauche, very interesting. This part feels like it's worse. This part feels like it's significantly better, to the point where you might use this as a DPS ability and press Sinister Strikes. I don't know. Shiv replaced with Cutthroat. This is part of the Slaughter from Shadows, like trying to make Backstab into a viable build. I haven't like done any calculations about this, but my initial impression is this is probably not enough to make it competitive with running Deadly Brew on your chest and Mutilate on your glove, but that's clearly what it's working towards, is making, you know, Backstab a viable combo point builder to compete with Saber Slash and Mutilate. Unfair Advantage now also triggers on parries. Always hit your current target. This, very good. Makes Unfair Advantage. This is very, very good for a rogue tank. Making Unfair Advantage a significantly better rune for rogue tanks. And I'm very, very happy about that. That looks very cool. I think of all these changes, you know, the Unfair Advantage change here and the main Gauche change are the most interesting and most exciting. And then the final change that we read at the start, Slaughter from Shadows now reuses Backstab and Ambush cost by 30 instead of 20. So Backstab becomes a 30 energy ability with this rune. And also increased damage of Backstab to non-player targets by 60%. Like, that's actually a lot of damage, to be honest. Backstab has really good multipliers, like, baked into it in terms of, like, percent weapon damage and then, like, a flat damage bonus on top of that. And you jack that up by 60 and you know, reduce the cost by a lot. you know, it's good, but Deadly Brew, like, to get that, you have to give up Deadly Brew, and Deadly Brew is so ridiculously good that my initial impression is that this is not enough. Yeah. I'd say, like, I'm a little bit turned off in general by, like, rogues can now heal themselves, rogues can now do AoE. It's like, I never felt like that was part of the rogue, like, class. So, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Say kind of mid on that, but, you know, we'll see what we can do with the changes.